probably like a 30-ish minute little discussion. So, um, yeah, but what's pretty cool, actually, funny enough, so there's a song called Kaiba on I originally heard it on TikTok from this band called Bellwether. They're Yu-Gi-Oh fans. So they made a song called Kaiba, and I actually reached out to the band on Instagram and asked if I could use the song as the intro for my podcast, and they agreed to let me use it as the intro for my podcast.
Hey, that's dope.
Yeah, so pretty cool. Well, guys, welcome to our first episode on the podcast. Name of the podcast, I don't think I've told you this yet, actually, but I decided to name the podcast End Phase.
Nice. That's so good. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, just it, kind of the subject of what we're talking about today. So my name's Ryan, and yeah, I'll go ahead and just have you introduce yourself.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm Kyle. I go by Casey sometimes. Kyle, Casey, either or is good. Thank you for having me on, Ryan. I hope we can continue to make this like a longer series. I think there's only really one other people I've seen really doing a podcast. So I think it's a really cool opportunity just to talk about stuff. And like it's cool because we could talk about actual Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, and then we could talk about like side Yu-Gi-Oh things that not a lot of people actually talk about. Like
Yeah,
traveling and like external things that don't have to do with just like sitting down and playing the game itself.
yeah. The point of like all these podcasts for me is like Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh is probably Yu-Gi-Oh and my friend group from Yu-Gi-Oh is probably going to be the main focal point of it. But I want to talk about more than just Yu-Gi-Oh. Eventually once I get that, once we hopefully get the ball rolling and pick up somewhere. And I think the nice thing about having people do a podcast where it's just like two normal guys like talking about what they're passionate about is let's be real about like podcasts when you have like big celebrities go and do a podcast. It's cool to hear what the celebrity talks about in that podcast, but number one, you've heard that opinion 20 times because they do all the other podcasts, and then number two, it kind of just doesn't relate to the regular person. It doesn't relate to you and I as much as it does to like people who are already in that space or at that wealth level in certain scenarios, stuff like that. So yeah, I think it'll just be a lot of fun to have something to do and talk with the homie about different things and yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
definitely way less relatable when you hear like a top pro level player versus like semi like competitive, more like competitive slash casual people talk. It's
yeah, yeah,
they're not here just to listen about whatever spicy tech we're gonna play in our deck. It's more about like actual things you do.
yeah.
Like
No,
everything else but that.
exactly. Yeah. But so I would say for anybody listening, yeah, we're talking about the card game that we both actively play, which is Yu-Gi-Oh. I've been playing. So obviously, like everyone's kind of been playing since they were young, right? But I would say like actually competing for Yu-Gi-Oh, like actually like getting into the competition scene. It's been 10 years exactly, actually. So I started in 2012. Um, actually competing. I think my first big event was in 2012 at San Jose. So
That's Rabbit and Zector, all that good stuff, right?
yeah,
That's that format.
yeah,
Nice. Yeah, there you
yeah,
go. I started playing locally around that time. I started like 2011 from high school. I had like I liked Yu-Gi-Oh, but like I didn't like know people that actually played it. And then I saw like at our high school, there was like a little corner table. So like the cafeteria is out here, and then there's an outside part with just a bunch of tables,
yeah,
and this like far exiled corner. And like 7:30 in the morning, there was like just some kids playing there because nobody like saw them play. No one was gonna bother them, and I just saw and was like, oh, people actually play this like at school, and then that led to me going to locals, and then eventually that turned into competitive, and I think I entered my first regional in 2014, but I didn't
okay,
even really start playing like trying to do well until like beginning of like end of 2016, beginning of 2017, when I was like, all right, if I'm gonna travel these things, I should actually try to like do well.
Yeah, that's funny enough. That's actually when we met, was in 2017, beginning of 2017
At Denver, yeah.
at Denver. Well, technically we met in Utah.
We did meet in
Yeah,
Utah.
we
That
did.
oh gosh, those like layovers and flights and oh those were awful.
Yeah. No, that was that
Yeah,
was that was so
it was
funny.
that flight. Yeah, because we had the I think it was one of my friends was playing one of your friends for like Goat for Money right in the
Yep.
airport, and then we were just chatting, and then we had the same flight, and then we had to take like the same like transit from the airport to like where you can go to the event and stuff like that.
But I think we ended up staying at the same hotel too. I think,
We might have, yeah,
yeah,
because
because
it was like a mile or two walk,
yeah,
but like it was like not a bad, like it was definitely doable. And I think at that time Uber and Lyft were barely starting to take off, so
yeah,
they're just like, just walk a mile or two, save $10, whatever, and
yeah,
walk with your friends. And I remember that, yeah, that was a good trip.
yeah.
It was
No,
actually a really bad trip, but the event was cool.
yeah, no. The travel for you guys, because you guys flew out of California, was terrible. And then
It was really it was really bad. We had like a really long layover, and then there was a guy on the flight that bought a cello, or no, he had a cello, and he bought first class seating for
for
the
the
cello,
cello, yeah,
for the actual cello, and the people there were like, you can't do that. We already have a full flight. We need people on. It's also a safety issue." And the guy was like, I paid for this seat. I'm putting my cello on, and then we were there for like 2 hours. So after it got delayed like 2 3 hours, we
it got
sat
delayed
in the
more
strip
because.
2 hours while we're all in the plane because this guy's arguing about the cello thing.
So what ended up? I don't think I ever asked what ended up happening with the cello.
Honestly, I was so just like in and out, like falling asleep, not falling asleep, angry. Like I didn't even pay attention. I think he had to take it off though, because it's like
Yeah,
actual like airline protocol. He can't have it. But it was a big argument because like I see from his perspective, right? Because he did pay first class money for
yeah,
that cello to be there, and cellos are not cheap at all.
no,
They're thousands of dollars.
yeah,
And so I understand what he's coming from, but it's like, dude, like you're holding everyone up for like 2 hours, and like you're not gonna win this, right? They'll just throw you off. It's like they'll take you off the plane either way. It's one of those things like you should have just like argue for maybe 10 minutes, okay, take it off, and then complain to corporate and get your money back or whatever. It's
yeah.
like one of those things.
No, he was determined, and you know what? Props to him for being that determined to make it
That's
last
true,
two
because he could have
hours.
also had the cello on the plane and been good, but yeah,
Yeah,
it was terrible. Because like when you're in the airplane and it's like the air is like blowing on you, but because the plane's not moving, it's not cold air,
yeah,
and like you're all clogged up, congested. Plus, I think it was like raining at the time, and
yeah.
it was just ugly. That was like traveling was like the worst. We also had once we were at Denver, we had two friends who unfortunately booked the wrong hotel. It was like the wrong Marriott. So instead of being at the one that was like 2 miles away, they were like 40 miles away
Oh
in the actual
yeah,
town of Denver
that's
or city of
right.
Denver. So yeah, so anytime we wanted to do something with our friends, they had to take like almost an hour Uber or something. It was ridiculous. Really bad experience with that because anytime they wanted to come do something, it was an hour drive. But then like if we were there, we weren't doing something, they wanted to go back and sleep. But if they do that, they lose an hour. It was yeah, that whole
Yeah,
traveling in the trip, and then if you're a long term player, you remember all the crazy stuff that happened in Denver, all the cheating stuff, and yeah,
second
that was a really goofy event.
second battle phase. Oh,
Second battle phase, the
classic.
dude who was like trying to stack his anti-spell in order in Cosmo. Uh, what was it? Yeah, there was a lot of like I think even in the finals they tried to accuse one of the dudes of like cheating too. Like it was just crazy. Like everyone was getting accused of like cheating
Yeah,
and just yeah, it was bad.
yeah.
But I topped, so
I played. I think day one I played 5 zoo matchups, and I didn't drop a single one. And then I played one paleo and one other thing. But
I
yeah,
played against a lot of Zoo. It was always like Zoo X.
yeah,
Like I think I only played like two pure Zoo decks, but everything else was like Zoo Metal Foe, Zoo Noid, or like Zoo like splashing like a random deck.
yeah.
It was really like what I played.
Yeah, no, that
But
was otherwise it was a good event. It was a fun event. Definitely a good time, and definitely a good time now looking back on it because now we have the friendship that we do. You
oh,
know,
100%, yeah. Competitively started 2012, me like 2014. What got you? I mean, I know you said like at a young age, but like what actually got you to want to like play locals, play big tournaments, things like that?
So funny enough, so I grew up like Mormon, so I grew up
Mm.
LDS, and one of the missionaries that was in our area, was like it came over and was like had his deck with him, and he was just like shuffling it and stuff, and I was like, "Are those Yu-Gi-Oh cards?" And he's like, "Yeah." So like then we started talking and whatnot, and so at that point I was like, "Well, I gotta like look into the see if there's like a locals here or something I can like actually invest time and whatnot into it." So I looked into my first locals or first local card shop and went there. I didn't really like have any cards, um, and there was this player. His name was Chris. He was like, "Oh, dude, welcome to the scene. Super nice guy." And he's like, "Oh, well, what's a deck that like is interesting you?" And this is right. This is like right before Inzektor wind up, so it was still like Dino Rabbit format. And I was like, "Oh, dude, I love elemental heroes. I think heroes are cool, you know." And he's like, "Cool, here you go," and just gives me like a completed hero beat deck. So
Yeah,
everything in it, Gemini Sparks, the aliases, the Miracle Fusions, the full extra deck, everything had
yeah,
every.
because that was still a good deck before that because that was before that was like was it like plant synchro and like
Yeah,
it
Tengu.
was just kind of like play whatever type format.
Yeah, it was like
I
Dark
remember Hero was still
World.
good.
Yeah, it was like Dark World, Tengu Plant, and then like Hero Beat was still for friends there, and then it just erupted from there. So, and then
Nice.
yours was also kind of the school thing around that time of your life, being in high school, right? Um,
Yeah, for me it was freshman year I saw that, and then it was cool because the locals that we would go to was called Broadway. Uh, I miss Broadway so much. That was such a cool shop. But basically, where our high school was like literally like not even 100 feet from the light rail, and so you would take the light rail down. Like our schedule for like always playing was like we'd go see each other at like high school play or whatever. But then
yeah,
on Saturdays there was like a 2 o'clock tourney, and so what we would always do is because we all lived kind of in the same area near the schools, we all meet up at the light rail, take it around like 1:15, get to locals, do the because you could like walk. It was like a mile walk from the light rail to the Broadway shop.
yeah,
Do locals, and then around 6:37 we'd come back right before it got dark on the light rail, and then go do whatever. And that was like my schedule for like two 3 years, honestly, just like every Saturday with my like high school friends. We just got on the light rail, played Yu-Gi-Oh, came back, and then we'd either hang out at one of the friends' house that was really close to the light rail, or we would just hop online after or do whatever.
yeah,
But that was the beginning of the Yu-Gi-Oh grind, just every Saturday. And um it was really cool because like when you're especially when you're younger, but like when you make your top eight or you do top your locals. Back then we
yeah.
used to play out top cut because it was only like 4 or 5 rounds. We'd play out top cut.
You guys used to play out Top Cut.
We did, yeah. So
Oh
it'd be
man,
like four rounds, maybe five, and then it was cool because he would just do it on like a piece of cardboard every day or every Saturday. He'd just like he would handwrite the brackets because he knew how to do the Swiss brackets on his hand,
yeah,
and so he'd handwrite them. And then after 4 or 5 rounds, the best top eight in a row on his bracket, he would just do it that way, and then you'd play it out. So like I remember, top if you lost in top eight, you'd always got your $5 back. Top four, you get like 9 to 12, somewhere around there, and then second would get like close to 20, and then first got like 30 something or so close to that. Like it was always credit. You could use credit to re-enter, which was like super nice because as
yeah,
a high school kid dropping $5 every week doesn't sound bad, but considering you're not working or anything, five
yeah.
dollars can be a lot every week.
No, definitely. And like even if you do like the math off the top of your head, right? Like 52 weeks in a year, like as a high school kid, you really don't have anything else going on in your life, so it's something easy to do every week. So
Right.
you're dropping $250 as a high school kid every year who you're not working, right? Like you can't work until you're 16 because of like work laws and whatnot, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
it's nice. It's nice for us as kids, and like even as adults when stores do that, it's nice because it's like, oh cool, I don't have to like spend that much into something I love. I can just do it. But as like a card shop or a store, it can screw you fast. There's reasons why a lot of
Oh
these
yeah.
there. I mean, I'm sure that might have been an issue why Broadway closed, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah. Broadway. I think. Well, he was also getting really old too. Like he
yeah,
was like I think high 60s, 70s when he shut down the shop. So like he was already like at that retiring age anyways.
yeah,
And you know, this is around the time where everything started inflating, like rent costs and stuff. And I mean, he had a pretty small shop in general, so like it was just like if you walked in the store, it was like one just long row of tables. That was it. There was no like area for it. Like,
I
um,
gotcha.
yeah, I miss that shop. It was really fun though. But yeah, like it's interesting though, because like the just getting the cards itself as a high school player has to be like kind of daunting slash like hard to do. You know, like you said, you were handed like Hero Beat.
Yeah,
I think when I first started playing locals, it was like whatever deck core that we could get from like random people at the locals or like what our friends had. So like every week we'd sit and trade, and like someone would have a GB core, and then they would trade for like a random Lightsworn core, and then that would trade into you
yeah,
know like whatever you know, just like whatever goofy like deck cores we had. We usually just swap core for core, and we did that like so many times. So like I think when I started playing there, I was playing like Watts or like GB or something like way past their prime.
what? Talk about an
Watt, I
arc.
was
Talk
yeah,
about a dead archetype. Oh man.
dude, it was crazy because that was around Photon Shockwave when Rabbit came out, and
Mhm.
we got the Watt Cobra, and I
Was
remember that card actually made Watt pretty decent for
was
like
it
local play.
Cobra or Giraffe that we got then?
It was Cobra.
It was
Giraffe
Cobra.
was
Okay.
I think like Absolute Power Force or something. I don't remember, but I know we got Cobra because it was a common, and I remember it was really good because you attack directly, search one, and
Yeah.
then you just play like your little cards that say they can't attack you or whatever. And you know, like I said, at a local level where most people didn't have the expensive cards, or when the game was so much slower, you could do those strategies. It was like, oh, this is sick, like.
Yeah.
It, you know, and then GVs was crazy because they attack, you do Wabaku, get your guy, and then you're just like, I'm so good at this game.
Yeah. No, and at that time, it's funny because like Gladiator Beast wasn't like because Gazaris was hit still, I think, at that point, or Bestiari, one of the two.
It might have been at one. I think no,
Yeah.
I think Azaris was at one, yeah,
Yeah. So
or
yeah,
something.
the deck, like you had no experience of like full power at that point, but you just had the experience of, oh, dude, I can just float into anything I want. So
I just the fact that they weren't just like random cards I could put together, like they actually were like an archetype that
yeah.
did things together. Funny enough, that GV deck, the my first like big memory of Yu-Gi-Oh is I for my birthday that year, I had my mom, she bought me a Photon Shockwave box, which at the time, terrible idea, right? Because if you don't get Rabbit, you're probably just getting ass, especially because there was only one secret in a box at the time.
Well, I mean, if you pulled
But
like, because Logia Dolko were pretty expensive at the time, still
they were,
too.
but they were not
But
like 100 plus. Like
but Dolko
but
was a secret rare, and then
Logia was
Logia
Ultra Ulta,
was
yeah.
Ultra Ulti,
I
so
don't think I pulled either of
you
those.
had to pull the ulti in order for it to be like like actually decent.
Right.
Yeah.
But like the experience of just having that whole deck being able to play, you know.
Oh yeah. So we've definitely talked about quite a few pros of the game, just in like memories and like kind of. I mean, memories is the biggest one, right? Like I would say that's probably the biggest pro for a lot of people is the memories.
Nostalgia, like for sure, keeps people in this game.
Oh yeah.
Like if there's one thing that makes people still play Yu-Gi-Oh, it's not the money, it's not the. I mean, it's a competitive atmosphere, but you can get a better competitive atmosphere in a lot of games. But it's really just the nostalgia slash like the people you meet.
Yeah.
Like
No,
like
definitely.
like not to poop on anyone's like dreams of Yu-Gi-Oh, but it is not the game to make money or the hardest game or the you know, the most skillful game, I will say. But it is definitely, it is hard, it is skillful, but it's really like, you know, the nostalgia and the travel and the people you meet for sure. Like
Yeah.
if we were just going for money or to be like recognized as like the best players, you would easily just go play Magic or Pokemon where you're getting paid real cash.
Yeah.
But
No,
you know,
that's that. Yeah, 100% agree. Um, so I guess that's kind of a good leeway. What are some of the cons? What are some of the cons of playing a card game? I guess for not just for how long that we've been playing it, but a card game like Yu-Gi-Oh, where it doesn't pay out to its players. So fun fact for a lot of people who don't know, maybe you've never been to a big event before, or this is your first time listening in because you're getting into Yu-Gi-Oh, or like you just haven't played for a long time. You Other card games, when you top an event, they pay you. So they pay you for doing well at these events. Magic the Gathering pays out, Pokemon pays out. I don't know exactly how much the payouts are. I'm sure I'll put it in post somewhere.
Yeah,
Um,
they're pretty. Magic's is pretty fat, but you also pay a way steeper price to enter. When I played a Grand Prix they had a Grand Prix in my city around 2018. I was like, oh, dude, I'll just play for fun. But it was like $80 to enter. Like it's a way steeper price, but you are getting paid like I think minimum top eight's almost a grand.
yeah, yeah,
So like you're getting paid real money, but you also pay a lot more to enter.
yeah. No, that it's crazy to think about. What would you say that Grand Prix you went to was bigger than most of like the YCSs and stuff that we've been to?
I truly cannot tell you. I'm sure I could look it up. Like I'll just see if I can look it up real quick. It was about the same style though. Like it's just like one big event hall and just like rows of just tables
Just filled, yeah.
yeah, just filled. So it was the same style and it felt like a big event, but I can't tell you off the top of my head what the number was. I can look it up real quick while
Okay,
you
cool.
chat about it. But yeah, just the fact that you actually get paid cash for that was like way different. Like I was going purely for fun, but like if I actually wanted to do well, like I would actually make money, was insane to me.
Yeah. So yeah, that's probably that. I would say that's probably the biggest con of competing in Yu-Gi-Oh specifically. Probably is if you're looking to make money off of the game, it's just not the thing to do, in my opinion. In my opinion. Now there are people who make money playing Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Sponsorships, stuff like that. But
Speaking of sponsorships, real quick,
I
shameless plug. I am sponsored. Check out nextlevelanime.com. He is my sponsor. He does custom brand T-shirts, and so he does anime shirts that he already has like pre-designed, or you could do your own custom shirts. So please check that out for my sponsor. There'll be a link down below, as well as if you use code Casey, you get 10% off.
There we go. Hey, you know what? You should.
Thank you, Ryan. Good segue.
Yeah, you should actually reach out to him and see if he can make us a logo.
Yeah, I could definitely do that. He got this logo. He messaged someone to do this logo
Nice.
for what we have on our merch right now. But yeah, I could definitely ask him about that. That'd be really cool.
That'd be tight. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, if you see that on the next podcast as a thumbnail, you know how we got that.
Boom. Yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest con. I would say the other con too is Yu-Gi-Oh is Yu-Gi-Oh is different in its formatting from other card games where we have a ban list. So like Pokemon and Magic is rotation. Those are obviously the two other really big ones. But then you have stuff like Digimon and Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. Those also have ban lists, but those also don't pay cash either, as far as I'm aware. I don't think any of them pay cash.
I think DBZ does, but they don't have very many official tournaments anymore. It's usually like
they were paying cash, but then I think Bandai stepped in and said you guys can't do that anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeez, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I also looked up the GP thing real quick. It was 1,253 players that signed up.
1,253 players.
Yeah, so pretty close to what we get on like bigger, like our like bigger YCSs kind of.
Yeah, main area YCSs. Yeah.
It's about the same size.
So yeah, and just like, how often do Grand Prix happen? Are they every month, or like they're multiple a month?
I also cannot tell you, but the thing. Well, okay, so I will say there are more, but they're different formats for Grand Prix. They're now actually officially called Magic Fest also.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you look it up, if you are a Magic player, they're called Magic Fest now. But they have more Magic Fest, but then the Magic Fests are format changing. So like you'll go to one that's standard, and then you can go to another one, and it's just a pure Commander event type thing. And then you'll go to one, and it might be modern, and then you'll have a sealed one, and then like it changes a lot. So just because you go to the Grand Prix doesn't mean you're playing the same like Magic in that aspect.
I gotcha.
So I would assume there's going to be more for that reason, but
yeah,
if you're in a specific format, it's probably actually less.
I gotcha. So yeah, with that being said, the way that these different events work, the way that these different card games work, is I feel like you get more bang for your buck on investments because you're able to play something for so long, knowing it's not going to get hit until a certain point, right? So you can move it easier, or you can just hold on to it. You can you can pick it up for a certain price, whatever, right? Versus with Yu-Gi-Oh, with the ban list, first of all, we don't have a scheduled date anymore. That being said, your investments into the game, like if you want to buy something and then kind of get prepared for future formats coming up, you don't know how long your deck is actually going to be viable. So you either sell the cards because you think that they're going to get hit, or like you want to play the new thing and maybe they're not going to be relevant anymore. And then the ban list can come out, and either you're stuck with the cards and then they get hit and your $100 investment just turned into like a $2 investment, or B, it like happens clockwork with me every time, where it's B, I don't hold on to the cards, I sell them for less than I probably could have gotten, and then they don't get hit, and then they just spike back up. So then I lost value that way.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I've noticed the past few years, the ban lists don't typically always slaughter a deck for 2 to 3 lists, but they do like weird hits to where you might not want to play it. So like the best example of it was like when everyone was playing like the Punk Synchro deck, or just any of like those crazy like Hulk Synchro piles, right? It's like they hit it right when in that April-May list, they hit like the Rose Dragon to 1, Hulkwood to 1.
Oh, you're talking about like the 60 card piles.
Yeah, like those decks got hit, but it
Yeah.
was virtually the same deck going into Nats. It just you changed it a little bit, but it's enough of a hit to where like you said, you're like, I don't know, they could kill it, but typically they don't. Same thing with like 2019 format. I mean, it took
Eternal
like
format.
Yeah,
there's a reason why it's called Eternal format.
But like they still do hits and they still do things. It just doesn't like kill decks very much. And the same thing with like the tier deck. Like I don't think the tier element deck this format will die until like middle, like before Nats of next year. Honestly, like they didn't hit it at all this list. Even with the Ishizu stuff coming out, I think they're gonna do like a slap on the wrist hit, make it to where stuff can compete with it, and then it won't die until like right before Nats.
Well, we know
is my prediction.
Yeah.
Quote me in like a year if you're still watching.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, we're not going to get a ban list until probably January or February. So we definitely have time to see how it shakes up then. But yeah, that your investments in Yu-Gi-Oh it's really 50-50, honestly.
They are volatile for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
Between ban list and reprints, it's like super volatile.
That's the other thing I was gonna say. And then I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a Magic player. I know you played Magic, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. But are like reprint seasons a thing in Magic like they are in Yu-Gi-Oh?
The only one that's a real reprint season is middle of the year. They get some type of Commander product, and that Commander product will usually have, and again, this is only for Commander specifically, they will sometimes have like random insert like money cards, or like they're usually like mid-range card, right? So if it's like a $20 card, it might be in a Commander Precon around that time. There's also a master set that comes out every year, middle of the year, same thing, like sometime in summer. And that's a big reprint set, but it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh with tins where it's whatever was big last year is now reprinted. It's just whatever big money cards they need to be reprinted / what they can reprint to help sell the product. So it's really just summer, and then there's usually like some holiday set. But usually the holiday set's not like, again, it's not like a reprint heavy set. It's like something they're making, and then by the way, it has some good reprint in it that's gonna make it worth it for you to get.
I gotcha.
Yeah, the only big like real reprint sets are the master sets, and those are so expensive that they'll hit the value of like the card for a bit because it just came out,
but then goes right back up
because the price point's so high. Yeah, the price point's so high, plus the card's just so popular and like Commander or whatever that it just goes right back up.
So it's more like a side set in the sense of like, hey, here's this really good card you guys want reprinted, but we're gonna short print it.
Kinda, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, it's a master set. I mean, most if you aren't familiar with cards, there's always every set's gonna have some short printed card. Like it
Yeah.
just that's just how it works. They're never gonna print their best high valued card. It's never just gonna be the easiest card to get in the set.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you truly believe that it's truly random for your 1 out of 7 secret, but it's just not that. It's just not like that. And Magic's the same way. If you open 20 master boxes, you're getting like 3, 4, 5 of the same mythic that's poop, and then maybe 1 to 2 of each that's like crazy. It
Yeah.
just is what it is.
We're looking
But
at
that's
you.
for like all card
We're
games.
looking at you, Konami, on this one because you guys did promise us better pull rates, and you did not
Yeah.
deliver.
Yeah. I mean, they delivered on some though. Like funny enough, like the ones they did do good on were like Ash, but that's the card that has like what, its eighth reprint now.
It's now
So it's
on,
like
yeah, like number 8 or 9. Yeah, especially because it
yeah.
just got another mass like guarantee reprint with the structure decks.
Right.
Yeah, so
But yeah,
um,
Magic only has one big real reprint set, and then same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh. Usually it's the tins, but then Yu-Gi-Oh also has like a lot of side sets that import good reprints into them, which Magic, their side sets usually don't do that. Their side sets are usually new cards,
yeah,
and then maybe, like I said, one insert reprint.
yeah, yeah. No, and that's kind of where it comes down to is you have a lot of these side sets that potentially can just tank the price of your cards or make them go up, depending on scarcity and stuff like that. Um, but I guess with like these pros and cons that we've kind of talked about, not really making the money, or like is it really like cost effective to be playing the hobby that we enjoy? Because I know a lot of my friends will do certain hobbies that they can benefit from, like woodworking, stuff like that, right? They can kind of hustle with it. Why why do we keep playing Yu-Gi-Oh? Like if it's such a like a if the con is, which it's a pretty heavy con, right? Like you're investing already, and you're not really making money back on it. Not just in like the selling aspect, but in the traveling and
Right.
competing aspect as well. I think I have my answer, but I'm more curious on yours because I don't think me and you have ever discussed this. Why do you keep playing Yu-Gi-Oh?
I mean, I kind of mentioned it in the beginning. It's really just the traveling and the experience and the people that you go with. Like, I
Yeah.
can honestly say for Minneapolis, that's coming up in a few weeks, I'm really, really excited to go to Mall of America. Funny
Yeah.
enough, with like all my friends,
Yeah.
like that's like a really fun Friday trip I have planned,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah, we'll,
I
we'll
think
we'll both be there. By the way, anybody who wants
we will
to
both be there.
say hi, we'll be there.
Yeah, we will definitely be there. I'm excited for that. I'm also excited to just see all the people that I don't live next to. People I have in Vegas and Washington and just anywhere else that they live. Just being able to know that like this central unit of like an event is where I will always be able to see these people. And like just have experiences. You always do goofy stuff when you're on trips, right?
Oh yeah.
You go venture out and do something fun, or you go eat somewhere fancy that you wouldn't have normally done if you're here in town. Like it's just the extra benefits of things you do. And I also like the tournament aspect too, but again, it's not the game I try to make money off of. It's not the game that I think is the most profitable, but it is the game that I know I'm really good at. um, that I know that I can make top cut in events, and I know that I can play, well, and so, and I enjoy it too. So it's like, why not try to be competitive at it?
Yeah. No, I would say that covers most of, yeah, pretty much the exact same. It's the people and the memories and the experiences that we kind of create on these trips. I know you haven't, but I mean I've retired. I'm gonna put air quotes on it. Like 2 or 3 times from the game because I've been to the point where I'm like, this isn't like a sound investment for me. This isn't, something that like I can just afford to just blow money on it, at this time, whatever. And every time like I get, to that kind of financial safeness again, I come back. I come right back because it really is the biggest. It's weird to say that it's the biggest friend group I have, but you really the networking that you kind of do going to these events, like you meet people who travel from like, you know California. You have people who travel from Florida, from Las Vegas, from New York, from we're going to Minneapolis, right? Like you have all these people who you just meet across the country, and you just get to network with and like grow as individuals and create these friendships with. It really is just this beautiful it really is just like this beautiful spider web of friendship and memories that you get to create.
Oh yeah.
So
Like I have a friend that I stayed in his hotel because of a different friend that I knew. And I met him through
yeah,
that friend because they let me stay at their hotel. And we randomly just had so we met through the hotel, it was cool. We had the same flight coming back. He lives in Vegas. I lived in California. So we stopped in Vegas. He got off, and then I had a connecting flight that took me to Cali. And then it's crazy to think that that one interaction of just staying in his hotel for a Yu-Gi-Oh event led to us going to like music festivals together and going to other Yu-Gi trips, and then now I'm going to his wedding at the beginning of next year.
nice.
So
Hell
it's
yeah.
just it's just crazy to think of that. You're just like, oh, this is some guy I stayed at his hotel for Yu-Gi-Oh event, and now we'll be at his wedding,
Yeah.
seeing him get married.
Hell yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, that's exactly the same. My buddy Jose, he's getting married in February. I'm in his wedding, and we met through Yu-Gi-Oh. Like would have never
Right,
met
it's
otherwise.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like I just met funny enough, I just met another guy. I met him at the LA regional last month, and we actually played against each other. Nicest guy I ever met. Shout out to you, Anthony, if you're watching. And we just went and saw a EDM event like 2 days ago out in the Bay, and he like let us come over with my other friend. We sat and we were just like like pre-gaming, getting ready for the event, and then we just saw a music event together. And the only other time we've met was playing in a tournament a month before,
Yeah, just a
and
children's
like
card
just
game.
all right, a children's card game, and now we're watching like EDM events, and then I'll see him in Pasadena, and I'll see his brother at Mini, and so it's just like it's just crazy to think like that's how Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah,
Like that's who I go see a music event with is the guy I just played Yu-Gi-Oh with a month ago.
yeah,
Only interaction was just playing him in tournament.
yeah. No, exactly. I mean, like even Mini app, Mini. We're staying with a buddy of mine who I met through Yu-Gi-Oh. He moved across the country, and now we have a place to stay. We have which is great.
True.
Save on travel costs and whatnot. So it's a pretty good. It really is a good thing to have a hobby where you get to interact with people, and you get to build these relationships, and get to meet all these different people, and learn from these different people. um, and with that, there's a lot of things I've learned from Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I would say for sure Yu-Gi-Oh definitely changed my life for the better, which is weird to say that like a hobby, like a children's card game, as an adult can change your life for the better. But like at the time when I discovered Yu-Gi-Oh, like I said, I grew up LDS Mormon, but I was not a good Mormon kid. I was running around with like my hooligan friends that were doing doing stupid shit. They would like try to break into people's houses and shit. Like they were just straight hooligans. And then finding Yu-Gi-Oh like literally saved my life, because out of that group of friends that I hung out with, there were five of them. Three of them were in jail and two of them were dead. Like my life would have been probably completely different if I continued down that path. So Yu-Gi-Oh really did benefit me in that way, and it also benefited me in a lot of different ways. Because when I broke my leg, I played basketball for a long time. I loved competing, and I lost that sense of competition. It gave me the ability to still compete and still like use not just like my physical muscles but my mental muscles, right? Because like Yu-Gi-Oh takes a lot of thinking. Like there is a lot of thinking that you have to do. Um, under a time clock, trying to beat somebody else that's also doing the same thing. Um, I would say Yu-Gi-Oh really just benefited a lot of things in my life. Is there anything Yu-Gi-Oh really did for you that like kind of changed you? I mean, did it like change your friend group, or like maybe helped you in like? Because I know it helped me. Funny enough, it helped me in math class. Like the fact that I was like crunching deck
It
numbers and like
it didn't. I can't say that it had any like life changing event like that. Although I'm glad that that happened to you. That's a really cool story. But
Yeah.
I can definitely say like the like five, like if I was to pick like the 10 closest people to me, I think like almost all 10 of them.
Oh, you kicked the Wi-Fi again.
I hate knocking that thing over, man. That thing is so like. Am I live? Hello? There we go.
Yeah, you're live. You're live, man. I'm
I
gonna
need to
have
get, I
to.
need
I'm
to
gonna
get
have to
hardwired.
edit like a solid 4 minutes out of
Oh
this
yeah.
of just me
I literally
laughing.
just like barely like just tapped it and it just moved a little to the right and turned me off. No, but what I was getting at is like if I was to look at like the 10, even like 15 closest people in my life I either hang out with or consult or just know like if I ever call them and need to talk to someone or anything, they're all Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, you kicked it again, didn't you?
Roommates, like the first roommates from college, maybe like them, and then maybe like some old like high school friends slash college.
Hey, did you tap it again?
I didn't tap it again, but my actual camera just froze.
I was gonna say, yeah,
That's
you definitely
hilarious.
your voice, yeah, your voice and your camera froze. So essentially, top 10, 15 people that you would call,
Almost all of them are
yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
if
Yeah,
you,
all of them
yeah,
are Yu-Gi-Oh.
and any pretty much anybody you like would have to call, like, hey, I need help with this, or hey, can you do this, or
Right.
I mean, well,
There's
it's like,
like a few random friends that aren't Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I said, out of 15, I'll say like 10 to 12 are Yu-Gi-Oh.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
no, that's, I
which is
mean,
like insane.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that just a hobby that you started when you were younger in your youth grew into what it is today, grew into the activities that you do, the relationships that you have. So that's cool. That's really cool. We're gonna be wrapping this podcast up here in just a couple minutes, just because it is a little bit longer. But for the end of the podcast, I want to try and do like a top five at the end of every podcast. And for this one, we're going to be looking at the main sets of Yu-Gi-Oh! And we're going to go ahead and do a little draft battle, a little draft pick. So I'm going to pick five.
I'm so sorry. My internet is poop.
No, that's okay. I'm going to pick.
Not being hardwired is like, yeah. Number one recommendation: plug in the Ethernet cord. Your internet will be so much better on your computer. It's crazy.
Hardwire. 10 out of 10 can confirm. So yeah, we're gonna draft pick. So I'm gonna pick my top five. You're gonna pick top five. We're gonna go back and forth. This is main sets only, so no side sets, no structure decks, anything like that. And the only caveat, just because they're the most nostalgic sets of all time, we're not picking anything from the first five sets of Yu-Gi-Oh. So no LOB, no like Spell
Metal
Ruler,
Raider,
Magic Ruler,
Ruler,
because they're so iconic. So
I'll say that I'm only gonna pick the ones I've actually played with, just so I can truly speak out of experience. It's totally okay if you pick the ones that that you didn't play, but
that's fair. I'm gonna pick some heaters then.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I was not cracking open. I mean, I've opened LP packs, but I can't say like, oh, like I remember when Mirror Force was the best. Like I can't do that. I can't really can't. Even like Lightsworn, I can't be like, oh god, I remember playing Zombie Sworn in 2000 whatever. I'd be like,
yeah.
Oh gosh, I was still in diapers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm picking sets I've only personally played in. But if you don't pick those, I totally understand. Like, because you played a lot longer, so even if like you have more vague memories of other sets than I do.
That's That's fair. That's fair. Since we have that caveat, I'm gonna let you pick first. I'm gonna let you pick your first set.
Okay. So does this need to be my like the number one, or just it's a top five? Doesn't matter.
This is you're gonna be your number one right now. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
And then this is like the best set or favorite set?
This is both. It's the best set to you, which could also be your favorite, or what you think is the best set. Could also be, yeah.
I'm going to say for number one. Ooh, that's a rough one because there's some really good sets up there. Dang, that's kind of a hard one. I really don't. Okay, I think I got it. I think one of the best sets for me in recent times was Maximum Crisis.
Okay.
So Ash Blossom diagram zoo support type set.
Okay.
And I think because that was one of the very first like the game is just like going like this
Yeah.
like spike. No, it's not one of the first. There's definitely one, and I think you're gonna list it before I do. But that was like the point where I was like, wow, like Ash Blossom is just so much better than most cards in the game,
Yeah.
and like it's still in my main decks to this day. You
Yeah.
know, like same,
Ash
like
formatted the game to a completely different. That's a good pick. Maximum Crisis is a good pick.
yeah.
Good pick.
I don't know if it's probably actually number one. I'm trying to think of sets off the top of my head. I also have taken breaks periodically, so
Yeah.
like I didn't play like from like beginning of 2018 to like beginning of 2019. Same with like COVID sets. I can't speak on COVID sets. Not that they aren't game changing, but I
That,
just can't speak on them.
that's fair. That's fair.
Maximum Crisis, I would have to say number one, just like precisely because of Ash Blossom. Even Masterpiece, like Masterpiece was such a game.
It's still banned.
Card.
It's still banned.
It's still banned. Yeah, it's just such a game changing card because you think of like decks had to change the cards in their deck to just get over that one card.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't have an out, it was basically like yeah, just think of it as like if you didn't have an out for it, you just didn't not win that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
kind of reestablished the towers kind of mindset, right? So.
Right.
So yeah, not a bad pick. I'm gonna go with Duelist Alliance. I'm gonna
That's access code target. Wait, no, do it's
No.
that's Shadal.
That's Shadal BA Teller. Yeah. So
that's a really good set.
Probably the greatest TCG archetype we've ever gotten is Burning Abyss. In my opinion. Some people
it's like that and Sky Striker, but that's a side set.
Well, so Striker's not a TCG exclusive.
Oh, you're saying TCG exclusive? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
TCG exclusive.
Yeah, BA. Yeah, probably
yeah,
best TCG.
Yeah, BA. I would say I'm not gonna actually say what the other one is because I don't want to give you a set that might might take it off my plate. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that for my number one. So
okay, that's fair. Well, for my number two, I just thought about it. Breakers of Shadow was insane. That shit was insane.
That was gonna be my number
No,
two.
you're just like it. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't put it as my first because I didn't actually play with a lot of the craziest cards in that set till end of that year / beginning of the next year.
Okay.
But gosh, when you look at Bosch, you have all the crazy pendulum cards. You have Twin Twisters, Solemn Strike.
Infinity.
Wasn't there Infinity?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, that set was insane.
No, that's
like, and I just remember that set came out and like, what was it? The next YCS had 29 out of 32 pendulum decks or something like that. That set was insane. And then like think about it, like Twin Twisters is still a card I still put in my side deck. You know, Solemn Strike it's still like it's still good in trap decks. It's still a tech option going first. Infinity is still good in Cyber Dragon, and if we had Ptolemaeus, it would definitely be in everyone's deck.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's even more in Bosch. I'm not even thinking about. There's got to be some other crazy ones in there. I think one of the Kaijus came out in Bosch too, right? There was a Kaiju that came out in Bosch that was crazy too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where.
Yeah, I would have to say Bosch was also another like insane set though. Like that would be like. That probably could go number one for me, but I'm just gonna put it as number two because I already picked Maximum Crisis.
Okay, all right. No, it's a good pick. Oh man, my number two, man. I gotta go IOC. I gotta go Invasion of Chaos.
That's that set. Playing Progression Series showed me how crazy that set is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, that set literally blew everything out of the water. Like your understanding of Yu-Gi-Oh was blown out of the water at this point. Like it completely changed the game. Like it 100% formatted the game to be kind of that really was like kind of the beginning of combo, right? Like actual combo decks. I would say IOC kind of started that a little bit because you had some.
But yeah, you get Dark Magician of Chaos. You got BLS Dimension Fusion. I think's in the set.
Chaos Emperor.
Chaos Sorcerer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that set was.
Heat.
Good lord, that set was good. Oh, I think Compulse came out of that set too. That's crazy. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Compulse was in this set too. I'm looking at it. Yeah, Compulse. There's some crazy cards in that set. Holy moly! I
yeah,
couldn't even imagine actually playing like real IOC format. Like
dude.
getting Sangand. What is
Getting
this?
Yada
Yo,
locked.
yeah, Yada.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh, that just sounds ignorant.
That's my number two. That's my number two.
Maybe number two. That's fair. I think number three would probably have to be Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. That set was insane. Like rulers being a rare, being $10 to $15 a pop blows my mind to this day.
Yeah, that was my number three. That was my number
Yeah,
three. That's a
Lord
good
of
one.
Tachyon Galaxy rulers like that really put level 7 cards on the map. Like you would have never thought level 7 was good. You always think it's 8 or anything under like 6.
Yeah.
Realistically, yeah. Like the rulers, even spellbook too. Spellbook was like insane. Like it just
Yeah, because
like
Judgment released in that set. Yeah.
yeah, that was basically like our old version of Power of the Elements. It's like you play one of those two decks. Well, now it's not like that so much, but those are like definitively the two best decks, right? It's
Yeah.
Tier and Sprite. Back then it was Dragon Ruler, Spellbook, or you were the Ophion kid. And I was the Ophion kid
Yeah.
in high school.
I think 90% of the players was the Ophion kid. I don't
Yeah,
think.
I was Ophion kid 100%. I remember having a random $100 and was just like I saw like the whole core for 75 on eBay and I was like, hopefully I don't get scammed, but this deck's great. This deck is the only way I'm even winning, and I
Oh,
played that for like a year.
oh man, no, that's a really good number. That was gonna be mine. I thought I
Yeah,
had it.
Lord of Tachyon, that game was that set was game changing. Like I said, like that was the first time I've ever seen just a literal rare Yu-Gi-Oh card be $10 to $15 a pop. Like you open one pack and can make double your money on the rare, and that was back before supers were guaranteed.
Yep,
So like just the rare was insane.
being stupid expensive. Yeah, no,
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
man. That's a really good one. I didn't think you were gonna pick it. I didn't think I thought it was gonna slide under the table, so I thought I was gonna get
Oh
it.
no! Once you mentioned the first set you picked, then I was like, oh, I gotta go deep in the archives to find crazy sets like that.
Oh man, that was a good one. That was good. All right, my number three. Man, this is tough. This is tough because I really wanted that, and you took it from me, bastard.
I had to snipe that pick because I'm like, dang, there's been some old products, man. Like there's some you think just like the older sets, and you're just like, whew.
That's
Actually, I'm just gonna look up a list right now where you're picking yours.
um, man. I'm gonna go. Here's the thing: is I easily could pick sets that you haven't played because I know they're just safe at this point, right? I
You
easily
could pick those because I will not remember.
I
any
easily
of
could
those.
just you know what I easily can just throw this one out here. Phantom Darkness,
The Phantom Dark.
Dark Arm Dragon.
That's yeah, Dark Arm Dragon. That's also like is it Mirage of Chaos? The one that like copies JD's Effect Engrave or something like that? No, that's
It's
PTS.
no,
Yeah,
you're thinking of Phantom of Chaos,
yeah, I
and
remember that one. Yeah.
that is I don't know if that was in.
Yeah, Dark Arm set. I can't even imagine playing that. I can't imagine playing that type of set either. That just sounds crazy.
Yeah, because you had Dark Arm Dragon, you had Greffer, you had oh man here I'm gonna pull up this list here. Phantom Darkness, here we go. So let's see what other absolute bangers we had in here. Oh, Super Poly was introduced here.
Damn, I didn't. Oh yeah, PTDN. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Allure of Darkness. I already said Greffer. Goblin Zombie.
Yeah, that's an insane
The
set.
the U Bell deck. Uh, Super Ancient Deep Sea King. That's been a part of a couple FTKs, stuff like that. Yeah, no, just absolute banger of a set.
That's a good pick.
It's
Nice. I haven't played that one, so that's a good pick.
yeah, I mean, you played Progression, right?
Yeah, we didn't go that far though. I think we
Oh,
kind
okay.
of stalled out like middle like before archetypes became a thing is when we kind of stalled out. People started kind of falling off, and
Gotcha.
it was
Okay.
pretty much like it was like chaos was literally the deck until like pretty much when art like GB came out. Like if you weren't
Okay.
playing chaos, it didn't make sense.
Gotcha.
All
All
right.
right.
Well, I remember a newer set that is also insane was Flames of Destruction.
Ah, man, that was gonna be my number 5. That was gonna be my number
That
5.
set is so crazy. I think about the cards in that set that weren't even Goki like loop cards that just broke that set. You got Red Reboot, Call by the Grave, All the Nightmares, Bell, Imperm.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I could like I'm pretty sure if I look at the list, I can still go on. And then you have all the actual like just loop cards that you could do in that set. Like that set was just insane. How many like Red Reboot just got banned. Call by the Graves at 1.
Yeah.
People are like playing Bell. Imperm's been like a hand trap staple for who knows how long. Like that's like some of the Goki cards got banned. Like Goblin was banned, and Griffin people are using right now. Also came in Flood. Like there's just so many cards in this set that are just like insane.
Yeah.
Like I just think like,
that
was a pretty wild set.
That's a good one. That's a good pick.
That was crazy.
I'm gonna go with Raging Tempest for my number 4.
That's a good one.
The introduction of Zoo, that grass looks greener.
All my homies hate grass.
All my homies hate grass, but I had to pick it. I had to,
It's fair. All my homies.
It's one of those. It's one of those ones that you hate it, but you have to pick it because that set, honestly, because it was. Let's see. It was those 4 secret rares. It was triple Zodiac secret rare. Grass looks greener. And then I think the 5th most expensive secret rare was Theseus, which was still like $30-$40. So it was a pretty top heavy good set for secret rares. So
any secret you pull was insane.
Yeah.
Like, you pulled Zoo secrets, you're like, oh sweet guy. You pulled Barrage, you made your whole box back.
Yeah. So in terms of like monetary value, it was really good. And then also just playability, right? Like the decks that released because of that were just on another level. Just insane.
Oh yeah. So I technically was kind of around at this time, but I played a lot of.
This is your number 5.
This is number 5.
This is number 5.
This set. I've played a lot of cards that are from this set, and it's going to be Star Strike Blast. That set. That set is so insane. You have Droll, Emptiness.
It's good.
Wolf come out of that set? No, Valor. No, Valor came out of Stream Victory. What else came out of that set? You have like Droll, Emptiness. That was the set that never got reprinted, right?
Yeah, it was. Was Pot in there? Was Pot of Duality in there?
I don't. Let me look at the list real quick. I know for sure. Globe Bulb was Star Strike Blast. Yeah, you got fucking Bulb. The Karakuri stuff came in here. More scrap support. You had some of the Red Eye support. Not Red Eyes. What's the other one? Red Dragon support.
Yeah.
Emptiness.
Tuning was in here. Skullmeister was in here.
Yeah, Droll, like I said.
Psyblocker, which still randomly hits formats.
Right, like that set was so crazy. Like you just think of the random insert cards that were in that set.
Heatwave was in there. Naturia Cherries was in there, and that made the Naturia deck way better. No, that's a good.
Swift Scarecrow, that was another crazy one.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
I was just kind of looking through the sets, and I was like, I actually played around this set, and that set was crazy.
That's good.
I just remember just like.
That's a good set. That's a good. Yeah, that's a solid pick. That's a solid pick. Not as solid as my pick. No.
Nice.
So for my last one, I played both of the major decks out of this set, which were Inzectors and Windups. I'm gonna go Order of Chaos. Inzector was just insane. That deck, for what it did, was insane. And then we had the release of Zen Mighty, and then we had
Windup was also insane.
Yeah, and then we had like the Ninja cards, which were still like pretty good. Like Hanzo releasing from that set was pretty good. And then you had, for the special edition, it was actually the first reprint of Effect Veiler. So you had Effect Veiler release. Wind Up Rat was in it. And then technically you got like Evil Sword support, but it was in the Link 6, I think it is. Solda. The one that negates, I think, just spells and traps. So not very good.
Yeah, I remember the big one that no one played.
Yeah.
Oh, you got Invoker in this set too.
Was Invoker in order?
Yep, and MX Saber Invoker was number 99
Yeah,
on the set.
that's right.
Zen Mayo too, the big rank 5 one
That's
that some
right.
people would play.
Yeah, yeah. And
You got
then
the infamous interplanetary purpley
Thorny
thorny dragon.
Dragon, yeah. And then Blade Armor Ninja was really good for Hero Beat because you
I
just
remember that.
OTK'd
It
in
was a
one
good
turn.
OTK.
Yeah. So
There's a lot of crazy cards in here. This is another funny set where I pulled a Hornet on pre-release and traded it for like a Utopia from the structure deck. I was
no.
like, that's stupid. I don't even have Inzektor cards, but this Utopia is crazy.
Oh man,
And, oh yeah,
that's
it was
so
ruthless back then, man.
that's so
There was
funny.
no TCGing stuff back in my day.
Oh yeah, no. The people who play now that have access to like TCG Player never had to go through like Pojo or only being able to trade at your locals. Man,
Oh yeah,
y'all
man. I remember
blessed.
going to locals, and if I traded a $1 card for a $2 card, I was just like, dog, just like
You felt like king of the world, bro. You felt
yeah, you do that like
unbeatable.
yeah, especially a high school kid, right? Because you do that 6 times, you're like, I just made $12 in cards and played locals. Like that's insane.
Dude.
Yeah, that was a rough day. But Order of Chaos was a really that I think that's like when I remember that going to locals and doing a pre-release for that set
Yeah.
because yeah, that was right before Mermail and Mermail and Firefist, and then right before Dragons too.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, you
That's
had
a crazy block to think of.
yeah, you had oh, what was it? Right after this, you had Galactic Overlord, and then Return of the Duelist, and then right after
Yep.
those two sets was Mermill, and then Firefist right after. Yeah,
And then Ruler.
and then yeah, Ruler, and then yeah,
Then we got that weird like 2-3 set break where like none of the cards in this well like there was cards in the sets that were very good, but none of the
yeah.
like no new deck came out for like 3 sets that were
No,
like really strong.
we had Bujin. Bujin was pretty strong. Bujin
I
was
do
a really
remember
good
Bujin.
control deck. Yeah, so
We also got some of the trap trick stuff in there too. I remember
yeah,
like the trap trick deck, but like it wasn't like tier 1 meta defining decks. They were like Bujin was good. It was definitely really good, but it wasn't like
yeah,
Ruler, right? It wasn't like Water Fire Fist. It wasn't Insector Rabbit. Like this.
yeah,
This is like that era of Yu-Gi-Oh that people like the 2014 format, where just every deck's like viable. Every deck's like pretty good.
yeah.
You could literally pick like throw a dart on the wall and that deck was possibly tier 1.
Yep.
Like that was a good era.
Yeah, no,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
it was a really good time frame for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Oh gosh, you remember like Legacy of the Valiant, Primal Origin, giving us stuff like Honor Arc, Castel,
Exiton.
Exiton.
Yeah.
Like oh man, there's Steel Swarm Roach was in one of those. I think?
No, Roach was in a very early. It was in Generation Force. It was in the first.
Oh,
XYZ.
you're right. I'm thinking
Yeah.
of. Wasn't it? There's some other like other ones. Oh, Cowboy is Abyss Rising, and so
Yeah,
is
you're thinking of Exiton Knight because they look the exact
That's
same.
what I'm thinking of,
Yeah, yeah,
I am thinking about that. Yeah, there's just so many crazy. Like you just think of like the cards that came out in these sets. You're like, huh. That did Durendal. You remember Durendal? The Durendal.
Oh yeah, the
before
artifact came out. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
There's some rank 8 stuff that was really crazy.
yeah,
This set's wild.
yeah. No,
It's really interesting to look back. Like now that we just did this, like it's interesting to look back to see like two things. One, you notice like you're like, damn, this had some really crazy cards. And then two, you think of like, it's crazy to think that those cards I listed used to be like the bee's knees, the best cards, like of Yu-Gi-Oh. And now like no one plays Exciton, no one plays Castel, no one plays Silent Honor Arc. The only one that still I think really survived from that era is like Dweller and maybe Cowboy for time.
Yeah.
But like that's about it.
yeah. Dweller survived, Cowboy survived, and then we really haven't had any like crazy level 8 decks as of late, except for like I guess technically Punk, right, was like the level 8 deck, but
They were just synchro and
but it was
Hulk.
it was just synchro and Hulk combos. So we really haven't had any like level 8 decks to like want to abuse XYZs. So yeah, it's been kind of interesting. We'll probably see in the future at least meta shift wise, because I know Rika uses some level 8s and stuff, but they get locked into plants, so that was kind of But we'll have to see what the future kind of holds with like I think it's Photon Hypernova coming out next, and then whatever comes out after that. So who knows?
Yeah,
But
it's just it's super interesting just to see like the the power creep slash like just the way the game has changed. Like I said, I can't imagine ever playing Yu-Gi-Oh right now and someone summons a Castel when you can just summon Unicorn. You know, it's like it just doesn't make sense. You know, same thing with like Dweller's the only one that really lasts. But instead of Sidon, I'd rather just like side evenly matched.
yeah,
You know, it's essentially is like the same card.
yeah,
right?
and that's the thing is a lot of these cards ended up getting power crept. So, but we can actually I mean, funny enough, that can be a whole other video in and of itself. Cards that got power crept. So, but guys, I want to thank you guys so much for listening in. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Obviously, that would be great. Subscribe. I'm gonna post this on my main channel as well as Kyle's gonna be posting it on his channel as well. I don't know if we'll keep that format going forward, but we'll figure it out. I think any kind of other Yu-Gi-Oh content maybe we'll just put on Kyle's channel because I want to do multi-variety podcasts and then we can do all the Yu-Gi-Oh ones on yours probably. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah. My channel is basically just anything trading card game related.
Yeah.
I just posted like a deck profile from like my top 8 LA on there, but I plan on doing more like it's usually just Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and then like a third spontaneous game. So it'll be something like Hearthstone or it'll be Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and then X will be like, you know, there's something interesting that happens in X third card game.
Yeah, maybe
But usually it'll just be.
Maybe we'll talk about Duel Masters in a video.
Oh, dude. You want to know something crazy before we end this? Remember how I gave you that Duel Masters card?
Yeah.
So I found, funny enough, I had a random ass bag, and all it had was just like old sleeves. I don't know why. I just had like a Walmart bag just full of old sleeves that I just kept throwing in this bag.
Okay.
But it randomly would have like cards in it, and I found more Duel Masters cards in that bag.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah, I found more Duel Masters cards, and then I also have the 2 that your friend gave me at Nationals. I have those.
Oh, the ones from me. Yeah.
Yeah, the ones that you actually gave me. So I have those, and then I have the 1 or 2 new ones I found in that little like bag of sleeves that just randomly had Duel Masters cards. So I was like, oh, sick! I was looking for more of these.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Oh man. But yeah, we'll go ahead and I'll post his channel down below, and then yeah, we'll both post his sponsor links for everything. And thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you guys so much.